Hey everybody, welcome to our 4th Trash Talk video. We are here at the People's Pint, and we'll tell you why we're here in a little bit, but I wanted to introduce our special guest, Monty Belmonte from WRSI. Welcome, Monty.
Hello.
And I'm also here with our Executive Director, Andy Fisk.
Hey, all you source to seers.
So, you guys probably know by now the Source to Sea cleanup. It's coming up this weekend, Friday and Saturday, the 28th and 29th. We hope to see you out there. You can still get involved and join us at find out how at ctriver.org/cleanup. Click the join a group button and you can find a map of all the places all up and down our watershed where you can come on out and join us this weekend to clean up.
We got how many groups? There's over 100 groups registered already.
Over 100. They're estimating about 2,800 volunteers, so that's pretty inspiring.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them. And
Yes,
probably several of my family members.
There we go.
Great.
So, why am I here again? Because there's drinking involved.
Because there's beer.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. Maybe should we start there while we're at the
Sure,
People's
yeah.
Pint? So I kind of commandeered this Facebook Live because I interview people all the time. So I thought I would interview them about Source to Sea, which I'm sure you know about, but maybe you don't know all that much about the Source to Sea beer. Maybe the can has less television glare. It's a beautiful label, but tell me about what the Source to Sea beer is all about.
Well, our friends here at the People's Pint have been so generous with us, and they have brewed a special beer, the Source to Sea Pale Ale, which benefits your rivers. So a portion of the proceeds of every pint sold here at the restaurant, every bottle or can sold at the stores out there, a portion of that sale price will come back to the Connecticut River Conservancy and help benefit your rivers.
And you have to participate in the Source to Sea cleanup because if we don't keep the rivers clean, then the water for the beer is going to be gross.
Big shout out to Chris Sellers, because that's what the brewer here at People's Pint says. It's all about the water.
And it's true, though, that the water, the Green River runs into Greenfield, and a lot of the water from Greenfield comes from the river itself, right?
Yep. And it's not just about trash in our rivers. There's a lot of places where we still take drinking water from our rivers. And if it's dirty, we got to spend more money and more time to clean it up before we can use it in beer and drinking water.
So you're both organizing the Source to Sea cleanup again this year. This is which number year, the Source to Sea cleanup?
22nd year.
22nd year. If you had to estimate about how many volunteers in total have participated in this over those 2+ decades.
Over 20,000.
20,000.
20,000 people have participated in this.
And I love when you tell me all the statistics about how much trash has been pulled out of the rivers over the years. So
Yeah.
you want to wow me with some analogies or facts and figures?
Yeah, so since we started counting, which we didn't start counting right at the beginning, so it's a low number, but over 1,000 tons of trash so far, which is, I just can't even imagine what our rivers would look like if it still had 1,000 more tons of trash out there.
1,000 tons, which is 2,000 times 1,000, which is some math.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
Yeah, big number.
One year we did some calculations, and it comes out to a couple of 747 planes full of trash.
That's what I like to hear.
That's it.
Then I can picture that.
Yep.
A couple of 747s out of the river. And talk about what problems this trash causes for the river and
Well,
why it's important that we
yeah.
volunteer to go pick it up.
It's ugly and it's gross, and we don't like to see it out there. So it's a harm to wildlife. Sometimes wildlife will try to eat this stuff, or they get tangled up in it. Maybe they get some plastic wrapped around them. I just saw a picture today of a hawk, I believe, that had some fishing line on its talon, and it had gotten caught in a tree and was hanging from a tree. That's just heartbreaking. So it harms wildlife, but it's also a harm for us if we're out there trying to enjoy our rivers. We don't want to cut ourselves on glass or other things like that.
And all the rivers lead to the sea. So when you hear about these problems with sea life and plastics and, 6-pack containers, People's Pint doesn't do that.
No turtles were harmed in the drinking of
Yeah,
this beer.
right. Is that part of it too? Does it keep it from eventually getting to the ocean?
Absolutely.
That's exactly it. So when you have a plastic bag, it doesn't stay a plastic bag forever. It's going to break down in little pieces. Styrofoam coffee cups, styrofoam dock floats, they all break down into little pieces. And if you're a fish swimming in the ocean, you're a filter feeder, and you're going to be pulling all that stuff in, and you think you got a full tummy, but you got a full tummy of plastic. They've done autopsies on birds and fish and turtles, and it's amazing how much of their stomach contents is occupied by trash.
And what gets me is that it doesn't have to be this way. There are already existing solutions out there that we could be implementing to stop this trash from even getting in our rivers in the first place.
And that's what I like particularly about this year's cleanup, that there's been a really strong emphasis on stopping the trash before it gets into the river. So can you talk a little bit about what the Connecticut River Conservancy is doing in regards to keeping trash out of the rivers before we slobs even have an option of dumping it?
Sure.
Exactly. So we're one day we're going to put ourselves out of business, and step one is don't be a slob, right? So we can all deal with that personal responsibility, but we want to get rid of products that you don't really need, like single-use plastic bags. Come on. All they do is you put one thing in them, you take them home, and then it gets thrown away and it goes in the environment. Let's replace plastics with things that are recyclable. Let's replace the petroleum-based plastics with things that actually degrade. It's going to be a long time, but we're smart people. And if we set out a vision of we want plastics that are not going to harm the environment, we'll get there. Because plastics are important, and they benefit a lot of how we live our lives. But we're making them the wrong way.
Yeah, technology is evolving, and there are starting to be new options and alternatives out there. We need to really explore those and see where that can take us.
And you have on your website a series of petitions to try to call into action our elected officials, not just where we are in Greenfield and in Massachusetts, but in all of the states where the Connecticut River and its watershed reaches.
That's right, and it's not just elected officials, it's decision makers of all sorts. So that also includes manufacturers and corporate decision makers as well. So we want them to play their part. So we've been out there doing our part, cleaning up the rivers for 22 years now, and we know that the trash keeps coming back year after year. So it's a bigger problem, and we need a bigger solution. So we want them to do their part and make decisions at the beginning of the lifespan of these items to prevent them from becoming trash in the first place. So they can do things like pass laws. They can, corporations can make better decisions about what sorts of plastics they're using or choose to use those alternatives that are coming out now. Just really work together to overhaul how we're using plastics, but not just plastics, tires too. Manufacturers, we're trying to implement this policy called extended producer responsibility with tires. And what that means is that manufacturers would be held more responsible for the responsible disposal of the tires, taking them back, reusing them, recycling them, repurposing them, so that they don't end up in our rivers. Because you can actually recycle and use tires for a number of things, but they're not doing anybody any good if they're sitting in our rivers.
And so, grocery stores in some towns where there's single-use plastic bags, they do a great job messaging the fact that, hey, be responsible, support the environment. But if you go to that same grocery store in another town where there isn't a single-use plastic bag, they haven't put that message forward. So why wouldn't a grocery store chain do the right thing across all of its branches? Dunkin' Donuts, they're going to.
You mean Dunkin'? They're changing their name.
Dunkin'. Dunkin' runs on styrofoam.
Yeah.
So they say they're getting rid of the cups, but it's not for 3 more years. And then some of the replacements really aren't that much better. So, let's skip ahead a couple of steps. Instead of going from styrofoam to a non-recyclable paper cup that's got plastic coating, let's take the next leap forward and get something that really is compostable, biodegradable. And so we know the people signing that petition, they're saying, look, I've done my part. Everyone else, let's do it. So voluntary actions, mandatory actions, political pressure, lobbying, policy, and also just plain encouragement.
And I'm assuming that you're watching this on the internet right now, so you're near a computer, so you could sign these petitions immediately. Where do people go if they want to participate in that and try to twist the arm of not only our legislators, but some of our bigger businesses?
Yeah, so head to our website, ctriver.org/takeaction, and that's where you can find the petition. Add your name. You'll get an email. Please make sure you click the link in the email. That way you'll count towards our total. We're going for a goal of 1,000 signatures, so please help us get there. We're at about 12% so far, so we need your help. We need your signature.
I have forgotten to sign it, to all the petitions, so I'm going to have to go and do that shortly. But while you're there, you can do something that I have already done, which is sign up to be a part of one of the cleanups for the Source to Sea cleanup, which is this Friday and Saturday, up and down the Connecticut River watershed from Canada all the way to Long Island Sound. Talk a little bit about some of the locations. Here in Greenfield, where we are, is where I'll be on Saturday. But there are places all over the place pulling all sorts of different trash out. Talk about some of the interesting sites that need the most work.
Yeah, so if you're down in Weathersfield, Connecticut, it's south of Hartford, We usually get 80 to 100 people in Weathersfield Cove. It's a historic part of the river, and unfortunately, Weathersfield Cove gets all the stormwater runoff from Hartford. So all the little nip bottles and plastic and things that people throw on the street ends up in Weathersfield Cove. And so a bunch of people come there to clean up every single year. We've got a lot of people in Holyoke this year. There's some places where there's been really nasty illegal dumping. There's a lot of places in Chicopee and Holyoke where people just push stuff over the bank.
Right.
And so again, we've got a bunch of our federal agency friends from the Department of Interior, the Department of Interior Flotilla. Got a bunch of boats that'll be at Jones Ferry, and we pile into the boats and head up and down the river, and you would toilets, fuel tanks, tires, chairs, shopping carts. You wouldn't believe it. And the Department of Interior Flotilla, they've adapted special equipment. So they have some grapples and winches on their boats. So they've spent the year anticipating all the special needs for how do you haul this crud out of the river.
You, Andy, like the high adventure type stuff usually. You've taken me on a lot of river adventures over the years. Where will you be on Saturday?
On Friday, I'm going to be in Holyoke with the 5th graders, and then Saturday, I'm going to be at Springdale Park with Holyoke High School and People's Bank. And what we're actually going to do is clean up, but then the other part of cleaning up is planting trees. Right?
Cool.
So we'll be planting willow stakes along the Connecticut River in Holyoke.
What about you, Angie? Are you going to be doing anything interesting on Friday or Saturday?
I will. I'll be hanging out in the Springfield, Massachusetts area. So I'll be visiting some of our sponsor groups there, Eversource and USA Hauling. And we've got MGM who's going to be coming out and joining us this year too, which is really exciting. But we've got groups all up and down the river, as you mentioned, all the way from near the Canadian border down to Long Island Sound. So head to our website and find one near you that is welcoming new volunteers.
Hey, and don't forget about the photo contest.
Yeah,
For all you photo snappers out there.
In addition to telling our legislators and our decision makers to do better, we want you to show them the problem, because sometimes if you don't see it, you don't believe it. So take some pictures while you're out there this weekend. Show us the trash, especially those tires, the plastic, that styrofoam, and show us how disgusted you are by it. Make some creative artwork out of it. Get creative with it. Send your pictures to us. Enter them in our photo contest. You could win some pretty awesome prizes. I wish I could win them. I think we've got some from King Arthur Flower. We've got some water ski lessons, all sorts of great things.
Monty
knows about water skiing.
I should take those because I did not do well when I went with Andy water skiing. Yeah.
And then folks can also come out and join us after the cleanup. We are having a series of Trash Talk events. We'll have one in each state. The first one is going to be on October 4th in New Hampshire, and then every Thursday after that throughout October. And folks can come on out, see us in person, tell us about what their concerns are, share their ideas of how we can make a difference, learn about what we're doing, learn about how they can get involved in that.
Because we need people to show up and help us out. We're going to be working in all 4 states, solving these problems. And then at the Green River cleanup, don't we have like a special thing going on, like with art or something?
Yeah, we're gonna create some pretty big and awesome trash sculpture. So we're not sure what it'll be yet, but we invite participants to come out, take the trash that is found that day, and help make it into some really cool looking sculpture.
One man's trash is another man's attempt at art.
There you go.
And woman as well.
All right, that's it.
Can we drink the Source to Sea beer
let's
now?
do it.
There we go.
So talk to me again about how this beer helps support the Source to Sea cleanup in the Connecticut River Conservancy.
So the People's Pint, they are great friends to us here at the Connecticut River Conservancy, and a portion of the proceeds from the Source to Sea Pale Ale will be benefiting the Connecticut River Conservancy. Every pint sold here at the restaurant, every bottle and can sold in the stores. So go on out, get some tasty, refreshing beer. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
To
That's
cleaner
clean water.
rivers.
To cleaner
All
rivers.
right.
Now, I'm a wine snob. I'm not really a beer snob, but I do enjoy a well-crafted beer. This is a pale ale for people that are interested. Get a little bit of a citrus note on the nose.
Oh
Some
man,
slight horse blanket.
He's geeking out on
Yeah,
us. He's
probably
geeking
not
out
going to be
on
as
us.
hoppy as an IPA, I'm hoping, because I'm not a huge IPA person. but
It's an IPA.
It's a little bit hoppy. It's
it's
got
a
some
PA.
citrus.
It's not an IPA,
citrus
though, right?
hops in
Yeah,
there.
right.
It's got those fruity notes to it.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Not too bitter. Nice balance. Again, I'm just making this up because wine is more.
It
my
sounds
thing.
good.
Yeah.
Drink beer, get dirty for cleaner rivers. We'll see you
That's right.
Friday and Saturday. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.